Hello all, Sique here, and welcome back to the Path to Unpunishable. I am astounded and pleased by your ongoing support for the Path to Unpunishable card deck and the link for it. If you want to pass it along or other people want to back it, or if you haven't backed it yet and would like to, it's going to be an article and in the comment section of the YouTube video. And we're going to go into card 9, which is the Broken Throne. This is deconstruction of everything. And this is an important card to me for a lot of different reasons. But I really started thinking about it and I wanted to add it to this deck because not long ago I was scrolling through TikTok and I saw a woman confidently declaring that people who wanted to deconstruct Christianity are just finding excuses to pick and choose what they believe. I guess so they can sin or something. She said you couldn't do that. That faith doesn't work that way. That Christianity doesn't work that way. I ran my black ass straight to the comments. But fortunately, people were already saying exactly what needed to be said, or at least exactly what I was going to say. That picking and choosing what you believe is called a denomination, right? And on some levels, picking and choosing what you believe is called a religion, right? And then somebody actually said, did you say that when you became a Presbyterian after the Episcopalians started ordaining women? And I think I may have said all of these things to people's faces, but that last comment hit a nerve for somebody because the commenter who did that later posted their own video explaining that they were blocked for it. Evidently, they knew each other in real life. And the truth, as it often does, has teeth. It is a weapon. It is a knife. It is a dual-edged sword. But anyone who's actually walked through deconstruction would tell you the same thing. The goal is not about rebellion or trying to find loopholes. It's about reconciliation. It really is. People are trying to reconcile the idea of a loving God with the damage done by church leaders, not just the ordained, but also the thought leaders, the influencers, and the quiet social enforcers who wield soft power while claiming innocence, right? And when people finally name that damage, when they bring it to those who trust, their responses are painfully predictable. Let it go. You have to forgive. I don't know anything about that. You have to be the bigger person. I went through that and I turned out okay. No, Peaches, you did not. That's the one that irritates me. Ignoring cruelty because no one protected you does not make you healed. It doesn't make you okay. You did not turn out fine. It makes you capable of cruelty. And life is already harsh enough without inviting more of it into your home, your faith, and into your body. You owe it to yourself to remove as much cruelty from your life and actions as possible. But sometimes, unfamiliar peace can feel more terrifying than familiar punishment. Peace requires a collapse. It requires things to fall around you. It requires moving people and institutions. It requires removing people and institutions that you trusted and in some ways still trust. It requires watching them fall into nothingness and taking with them identities you once built your entire sense of self around. A broken throne does not collapse quietly. And that's why this card matters. Because we're afraid to let old institutions die. Traditions carry weight. Expectations, they shape who we are. They shape our identities. And when a structure falls, part of us falls with it. And some of those parts are small, And some of them are enormous, and some of them don't mean anything to anyone but you. But they're significant. That's the word I was looking for. And that grief you feel can feel unbearable. And then you start thinking about the time that you feel is wasted. And then there's the thought of starting over. And it feels like an insult to everything you've already survived. And as much as I talk about deconstruction with religion, it's not limited to religion. It could be family systems. It could be careers. It could be political ideologies. It could be creative identities, relationships, entire ways of seeing yourself as a good person. Yes, there's going to be loss. You may need to build again, but you also may not have to build again. But what hurts the most is imagining how much joy you could have had if you left earlier. The truth is simple and it's sharp. You wouldn't have enjoyed it. You wouldn't have enjoyed that joy where you were at the time. You were surviving a structure that required your silence to stand. Collapse is not failure. It's information. It's data. Today's date is January 20th. It's a Tuesday of the year of our Lord 2026. And I'm 52 years old as I write this. I'm about to hit my 53rd birthday. And I have deconstructed so many lives. I deconstructed being raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I deconstructed what it meant to be a Black woman in the United States. I deconstructed motherhood. Not only the expectations placed upon me by a religion, but placed upon me by a family where cruelty was the cornerstone. And it was hostile. I deconstructed as a Black woman raising daughters in the same hostile environment and culture. I deconstructed what it meant to be a nerd in the 70s and 80s and 90s and noughts and teens and now, because it changes. I deconstructed what it meant to be in tech and spaces that were not built for me. Age-wise, race-wise, gender-wise. I've had to do it so many times. But also during that time, I traveled the world. I've been married for over 20 years. I raised 2 women that I'm deeply proud of. Mainly because life is tough, but they're tougher. I've published 27 books. I've edited 2 best-selling fiction compilations. I wrote 2 tabletop RPGs and created 4 card decks. I worked at Apple when the iPhone was launched. I worked at a startup that became the world leader in WordPress. And each rebuild was hard, and every collapse hurt. But when I look back at what I've already survived and created, I cannot deny the evidence. I know how to build, and I'm the best at what I do. I know how to learn. I know how to endure the collapse and still move forward. Because even crawling forward is forward. Even crying forward is forward. Because moving forward is forward. And that is why I can face the hardest deconstruction of all. The belief that I can create my own tabletop role-playing system and its accompanying video games. And now that sounds small to most people, and people do that every day, and both of those things are true, and I enjoy them, and I'm thankful to God for them. But to me, after everything I've dismantled and rebuilt, it felt impossible. And sometimes it still feels impossible. But now I am finally in a place where I have the skills, the experience, and the clarity to do it. And I had to let things die to reach this point. And I still have to build what comes next. But this time, the building will be with joy. So, what does this look like through the lens? Well, empathy allows you to grieve what you believed in without shaming yourself for believing it. It acknowledges that trust is not foolish, it's human. And related to that is that once you knew better, you did better. Truth tells you that the throne broke because it was already cracked. It was never as strong as it pretended to be. Kindness reminds you that you are not obligated to rebuild the same structure that harmed you just because others expected. Anti-greed protects you from giving your labor, your loyalty, your spirit to systems that demand sacrifice without accountability. And joy does not arrive all at once. It appears quietly when you realize you're no longer defending something that hurts you. So, what does this card teach? It teaches that collapse is not something to rush through or decorate with positivity. We're not dealing in toxic positivity here. It is something that you witness, that you see with clear eyes. And you don't need to rush to replace what fell. You do not need to justify why it broke. And you do not need permission to walk away from the rubble. Don't care what they say. False thrones rely on obedience and silence. And when they fall, they reveal who was benefiting from your compliance. Letting a throne remain broken is an act of self-respect. And it means that you will not rebuild your life around somebody else's comfort, ego, or hunger for control. So, what all this means is that on this path to unpunishable, collapse is inevitable. Punishment culture survives by convincing you that leaving will cost you everything. The truth is that staying costs more. Leaving is going to cost you. Yes. Staying will cost you and added shame and guilt. Every broken throne teaches discernment. Every collapse sharpens your ability to choose structures that do not require your suffering to function. Being unpunishable is not about being invincible. That's a lie. It's also not about being perfect. It is freedom from freedom from systems that thrive on fear and obedience. Because you don't have to live that way anymore. And with that, I like to leave you with this image. Imagine that throne that you once revered and that once shone brightly until you opened your eyes and saw how old and broken and in ruin it was. With the metal twisted, stones falling everywhere, kudzu growing around it. That empty seat. Think about it. And see it for what it really is. And you're not standing above it in triumph. You're not looking down on it. You're kneeling beside it. And you're calm. And your breath is steady. May you honor what fell without rebuilding it out of guilt. May you trust your ability to create something better. May you walk away from the rubble without apology. Because it's the throne that's broken. You're still standing. Amen. Once again, thank you for being with me on this path. And with this video, you'll be seeing the images that are going on the Path to Unpunishable deck. And I would love it if you back this project, because I would love to share it with you. The link for it will be in this article and in the comment section, the description section of the YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube. And I look forward to talking to you next time. And I'm stalling for time as I look for the next card. The next card is the Quiet. Oh, wow. That's going to be a tough one too, but I think you're going to like it. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.